What's up, guys? Brandon Schroeder back again with another video. Today's a little different. We're going to be reviewing WWE's most recent PLE that happened on this past Sunday. Yeah, that's right. We're covering Clash and Ailey. Let's get into it. Okay, here it is, Clash in Italy review. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if you don't want to necessarily be spoiled on this. Unlike my previous video, this does have some spoilers. So if you haven't had time to watch the event, you want to go watch it, go ahead and watch it and then come back to this afterwards. But yeah, this is Clash in Italy, most recent PLE, and as we all know, the overseas crowd typically seems to be a lot more fun, seem to have a lot more energy, and so the crowd was hype, and that was probably the biggest thing going in that we were all knew was going to happen. But let's talk about some of the stuff that maybe we didn't see coming. To open off the match we had the undisputed WWE Championship match between current champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, versus the Ring General, the career killer, Gunther. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting a lot from this match. You got one of the most workhorse champions in recent WWE memory when it comes to defending the title, wrestling in general. And then you got, in my opinion, one of the best in-ring workers in WWE who's absolutely had a tear of really fun matches, whether you enjoyed him beating AJ Styles or beating John Cena. They were very hard-hitting uh, matches, and you know, I'm not gonna lie. This match did not live up to my expectations. Now, granted, I do think that they had to cut some time from this match with it being the opener and the first hour being on ESPN, and they showed two matches. And these guys, I think, were set up in a way to where they could continue to tell a story there, but I'm not quite sure what that story is going to be. But yeah, it was your typical Cody match. He gets beat up for a little bit, comes back, it's kind of back and forth, and then he hits a crossroads, and most times he has to hit three crossroads, his finisher, to put an opponent down. But he actually pinned Gunther in about 12 minutes after one crossroads. But the biggest takeaway from the match was Gunther's foot being under the ropes, meaning the pin count shouldn't have happened. The referee should have kept it. There would have been a rope break since his foot was under the ropes, and Gunther crashed out afterwards. Yada yada yada. But I honestly don't think that this match lived up to the hype at all. I think that um I think that Gunther and Cody both could have had a way better match. Now, granted, they were given 12 minutes, which I think is partially due to it being on ESPN, but I just did not find myself enjoying this match. And I think there could be a match down the line, but we'll have to wait and see what WWE is going to do. So we'll just continue to wait and see. Our second match in the night was a WrestleMania rematch, if you will, for the WWE Women's Championship match, but instead, Rhea Ripley coming in as the champion and Jade Cargill coming in as the challenger. I'm not gonna lie, this story that they've been telling this past month, past few weeks, I've actually really enjoyed. Um, Typically, I won't lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Jade Cargill. I don't think her matches have particularly wowed me in a sense at all, but she's definitely improved. And I was excited for this match because I felt like at WrestleMania, even though it was a short match, I felt like they had good chemistry. And this match, I think, proved the same thing. I think they had some good wrestling chemistry there, and it was overall a pretty dang entertaining match. Again, they went longer than Cody and Gunther did. I think they had about 17, 18-minute match, but they took it and they did their thing with it. You know, they were got kind of back and forth there. Jade was beating up on Rhea quite a bit for a long stretch, but once Rhea kind of got back into control, they had Jade's goons, Mishin and BFAB come down, and then they got disqualified. I think there was supposed to be some sort of foot on the rope break save, and they kind of botched it in a way. I because they didn't it didn't quite look as clean as I think it should have. But the ref made a good call. He threw them both out, and then they kind of pivoted, I think, potentially, and Charlotte Flair ended up and coming to make the save for Rhea. Ended up doing the exact thing that Jade's people tried to do, helped Rhea by putting her foot on the rope, and the referee didn't see, and Rhea ended up retaining. I thought it was a very fun match. I think this rivalry has kind of reached the end of what it needs to be. Um, in terms of everything, but I do potentially see Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair as an upcoming rivalry, which I will be excited to see throughout the summer. And I'm interested to see what's next up for Rhea. And who knows, maybe they try to capture some of that WrestleMania 39 magic that was one of the greatest women's wrestling matches in WWE history between Charlotte and Rhea. And maybe they go down there and we see that again at some point. But yeah, another fun match. Uh, I say I wish it could be longer, but I mean, it was a decent match for the time. It was a pretty decent match for the time given. And it'll be interesting to see where Rhea goes next as champion. Third match. When tell you, this is one of the matches I was most excited for. I mean it. Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar 2. We absolutely got, swerved. We saw Brock retire at WrestleMania after Oba beat him in about 5 minutes. And to be honest, I thought that this really could go either way. Um, I wanted Oba to win, and they did their thing. I was really excited about this match since I saw Brock Lesnar return live on Raw and attack Oba from behind when everybody thought he was retired. So I think that gave in a bit more to the hype that was kind of surrounding it for me. But at the end of the day, they did something that I would have probably bet more on not them doing than them doing, and that was having Brock Lesnar win. Oba's a young star. I think this is going to be a trilogy. I think we're going to see one more, and I think Oba will ultimately take it, potentially at SummerSlam. Um, I don't think they'll have another match at Night of Champions. I think they're going to cool it off for a little bit. Maybe have Oba try to win King of the Ring in the finals, and Brock screw him over. Um, and have somebody else win in that case. But yeah, I think it'll be good. I think Oba's going to end up officially, like this time, officially retiring Brock in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is where SummerSlam is and where Brock Lesnar's from. But yeah, they managed to make Oba not look weak, even though some people felt like it was a squash match. I felt like, yes, it was a quick match. Brock Lesnar beat him quick, but they made Oba look powerful, kicking out of four F5s in a row, taking six F5s and standing up, getting back in the ring, having a kind of a second wind, and then ultimately being taken down by a seventh F5. But the fact is, I don't know if anybody's ever survived taking seven F5s and beating Brock Lesnar, let alone 6-5-4-3. Like it was just a great way to have Oba lose, but still make him look strong and still make him look like that next beast monster superstar like they did with Brock back in the day. Our next match, the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between Becky Lynch and Sol Ruca. This was probably my favorite match of the night. I enjoyed some of the shenanigans that happened. I really enjoyed this kind of like cocky Becky Lynch character where, you know, she's the best and it's not just her saying it. Sports Illustrated says it, everybody says it. It's been quite fun to watch. Going in, I predicted for Sol Ruca to win the match, which a lot of people were kind of on the fence, but as Sol Ruca hadn't won a match on the main roster yet by pinfall or submission, but Sol Ruka ended up winning. She is your new women's intercontinental champion. And honestly, I would like to see Becky out of this scene for a while. She's kind of been in the intercontinental championship ever since she returned at WrestleMania 41. Um, and I think she's a she's a 3 or 4 time intercontinental championship holder, and so to shine some light on some of the other maybe not main event women uh that are consistently up in the upper pinnacle of world championships. I would like to see Becky Lynch kind of stay away from it. Maybe go after a world championship, maybe take a break, come back, maybe as a face instead rather than a heel. But yeah, I was super stoked to see Sol Ruka win it, and I think this is one of many titles that she will end up winning. Now, finally, the main event, tribal combat for the World Heavyweight Championship and the title of Tribal Chief between champion and Tribal Chief Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. Uh, I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. Tribal combat, I understand that it's really just called that for the title of Tribal Chief, but I don't know. I just haven't enjoyed any of the tribal combat matches as much as I have like other types of matches. Like this basically a no DQ street fight, whatever you want to call it, type of match. It's just got the Ulafala is up for grabs, and the title of Tribal Chief is up for grabs. But I feel like they've done it 3 times now, and this I think was the best of the three. But it's not. It wasn't a very high bar to beat. They had SummerSlam a couple of years ago with Jay and Roman, and then they had the Netflix Raw debut, Solo versus Roman. And then they had this one, Roman versus Jacob Fatu. And I mean, Roman might as well just keep doing these because he's 3-0. I might never ever lose the belt if he or the Ulafala if he keeps fighting in these. But the one thing I will say is Roman winning, I think was the right choice for sure. Um, I'm interested to kind of see how this plays out, especially now that Jacobs kind of acknowledged him, but he's kind of said some stuff to Jay. And I do find it interesting that they're trying to rehash this bloodline business. Instead of Solo, Jacob kind of being the new enforcer potentially. But the one thing I have liked about Roman's championship reign so far is it's been done without any type of interference, which is what we got so used to in his infamous 1,316 day reign as undisputed Universal Champion of the world. Um, which I personally enjoyed, but I do like this kind of, it feels a lot more fresh. Because at some point it could happen where there's an interference, but as of right now, you know, I'm not expecting interference and I'm just enjoying pretty solid wrestling matches for the most part. Um, but yeah, the most interesting I think about this now looking at it is that Solo and his goons, Tamatonga and Talatonga, were there, and Jacob Fatu seemed to be torn between which side to go to. So it'd be interesting to see if they make some mega bloodline with all 7 of these dudes in it. See what they do there. But in, in the meantime, I'm gonna just keep watching and keep enjoying what I'm seeing and see what they do with this new bloodline 5.0, 6.0, 7.0, whatever you want to call it. Overall score for each match, 5-star maximum. Again, Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the undisputed title. I did a 2-star on that. Um, I was expecting a lot more. Um, and again, could be time constraints, could not be, but I just feel like there's more story that they could have told, and maybe that's what the goal is. But I just personally, it's probably one of my least favorite Cody Rhodes matches and maybe my least favorite Gunther match that I can recall off the top of my head. Rhea versus Jade for the women's title. I gave 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed kind of the shenanigans that happened there at the end. And I think that wrestling wise, they had really good in-ring chemistry. And, if they run that back in the future, I would not be mad at it. But I definitely think that was a great way to potentially, for sure, end the rivalry off on. Brock versus Oba 2. I gave 2.5 stars. At first I was thinking about not rating it. Just from the standpoint if it wasn't very that long and it kind of felt like a squash match to some people. But I do think I had to give my respect to what they're trying to do with the story, and I always love when two big dudes get in the ring and absolutely just try to maul and destroy each other, and that's exactly what they did. But it was a quick match, short match, so we'll see where it goes from there when the third eventually hopefully does happen. Sol Ruka versus Becky Lynch. My favorite match just by a little margin over Rhea versus Jade for the women's intercontinental title. I also gave 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed again, some of the shenanigans with Jessica Carrion involved, and I hope at some point she ends up wrestling Becky Lynch because I think that would be awesome, especially since she's been wrestling as a different name, which I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I think it'd be really cool. But yeah, that was my favorite match, like I said. Roman versus Jacob, I gave 3 stars. I feel like it's perfectly fine if you want to go and watch it. It's nothing crazy special. There were some entertaining moments, but at the end of the day, I didn't think it was bad either. It's definitely something that if my friend was watching, rewatching Clash of Italy, I wouldn't mind watching that again. My overall score for Clash in Italy, uh, through 5 stars was 2.5. I just felt like I really enjoyed Backlash. I enjoyed uh WrestleMania Night 2 and semi enjoyed some parts of Night 1 WrestleMania, and I don't know, I just feel like overall um as a whole this card felt short and kind of leaving that feeling that you wanted a little something more from it. And so I think it's 2.5 stars. It's perfectly enjoyable. Um, but just wasn't my favorite. It was probably my least favorite PLE of the year, but I do think the crowd helped in making some of those matches because they were loud and they were rowdy, and that's what we love from these European overseas crowds. So US, we got to do better. But yeah, that's my overall review out of 5 stars for Clash in Italy. Um, I hope y'all enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment if you like this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks.